Being a funeral celebrant has its challenges, and you might say that every death is a difficult death. However, sometimes a funeral is super challenging to us, and that might be for several reasons. Firstly, we might know the deceased. We might be their friend. In fact, personally, I have been the funeral celebrant for my best friend, and that was super challenging. I also want to talk about how the person died resonates with us. And it makes us think about the time when somebody we loved died in a similar way. So we might not know the deceased, but something about their story or how they died resonates with us. And that causes us to revisit our grief, to actually find it very emotionally challenging. And it can hit us like a ton of bricks. So I want to talk a little bit about this because it's called transference. You're transferring what you are hearing from the deceased and their family, and you are applying it to your own life. Now, the outcome of this can be that you become over emotional. It may lead to tears, having to leave the room. It may mean that you are not acting as professionally as you've been trained to, or, of course, how you would like to be. We can't help this, but what we can do is recognize it. And by recognizing it, it does help us find some strategies on how to deal with it. So firstly, let's say it's the death of a child and you have lost a child, the amber flag is already up, isn't it? That's going to be difficult for you. And what we're here to say to you today is it's perfectly all right in that instance to say, actually, I'm not going to take that funeral. You then can go to your network of ICPC trained celebrants. You can ask them, wonder if you could do this for me. It's going to be a bit hard hitting for me. And you can allow them to do that service. And that helps the celebrant, it helps you, it helps the family, and it's a win-win situation. So transference needs to be recognised in order to be dealt with. And there's other things you can do as well to help yourself. We can recognise it to stay in control. And once we do recognise it, we can seek help, because when you revisit grief, sometimes you think, well, I thought I was over that. And then it comes back, a bit like, the cycle of grief, and we revisit it, and you can go back into shock and go back into anger and go back into a lot of grief. So we're saying to you two things today. You can say no, and you can recognise it for what it is, transference, and seek help through your ICPC family, through your counsellor, through a family friend, someone who cares. But go and talk about it. Don't hold on to that, because that's not the idea. So can funerals be close to home? Absolutely. Recognising it's going to be half the problem and half the problem solved. I hope that was helpful, even if it was a little bit rambly.